Welcome to today's podcast. And today, our podcast is called Million Dollar Baby. If anybody remembers, it was a movie that came out, I think, around 2008, all about boxing. And so today's podcast is all about boxing too. And without further ado, let's get started with IPT2. Now, we wanted to talk about boxing today because it is something a lot of personal trainers end up doing with their clients. Some personal trainers, they are fully qualified to do it, and some personal trainers are not. And when we looked at this as a qualification earlier this year that we then did, we wanted to make sure that we offered the best that we could for this qualification. So we looked at what personal trainers wanted. This is something that at IPT we do all the time. We want to make sure that we are offering the support in the areas that personal trainers want. So when we looked at the boxing course in itself, we asked personal trainers, what would you like to get out of a boxing course? Now, obviously, the ability to box was probably the first one that most people talk about. And sure, that's going to be the foundations of the course, the physical aspects of boxing. We need to look at why that's important, though, because as the personal trainer or the instructor, you are going to be the person who actually showcases these moves for your clients. You need to know how to move. You need to know how to do all the strikes. There is obviously going to be an air of being able to do advanced movements, advanced striking, and then the combination work, the structure of doing pad work. Pad work itself, how you do pad work for different types of punching. And these are all commonplace to most of the courses you're going to do. What we looked at adding in was a few of the aspects that would help business-wise. So these are additional and are on the kind of online section of our course. And when we did our course, we were lucky enough to be able to discuss that with the students as well. Personally, I've not taught for any other companies that have had a business structure side of the course. It's all been physical. But with that add-on with our course, it doesn't make our course better. It doesn't make it worse than anybody else's. We're not that type of company to say we are the best, because being the best is subjective. If you think we're the best, then we're the best. If you don't think we're the best, we're not the best. So, again, when we look at this boxing course, we had to look at what not other course providers are providing, but what are the experiences that make good quality instructors of this course. Now, this is not to say this is what happens in the industry across the board. This is not to say anything about any other company. But before you do a boxing course, you should really be looking at the instructor, not the company, the instructor. Has the instructor got any experience with boxing? Has the instructor got a martial arts background or a background in fighting at all? Now, you have to remember when we talk about fighting, it's more the self-defense. We're not talking about somebody who's just a thug, because they wouldn't make a good instructor in the first place. But to be able to teach boxing, you should have a background in it. It doesn't mean that you need to be a former boxer, although that's very helpful. It doesn't mean that you have to have been in a boxing ring. But again, that experience is fundamentally helpful for this course. But you should have some experience in sparring. You should have a good level of experience in obviously holding pads and striking. You should be able to walk into a boxing gym and be able to do stuff. You shouldn't be able to just teach this course because you've got an assessing qualification. Now, that's not to say that's what happens, but if I'm the consumer, if I'm the person that's buying the boxing course, I would be asking who is my boxing instructor and what is their background. Personally, that's what I would ask. Now, hopefully, if you get that sorted out, and again, let's just look at my background for a start. I did martial arts at a young age. I tried karate when I was very, very young. Did not like it. So stopped doing karate when I was very, very young. I then took up Muay Thai when I was roughly about 12. I did that for a few years. I've done various other martial arts and I've done boxing. I've done a couple of really intense boxing camps. I've boxed for charity. I've been in the ring. I've had 2 matches. I'm looking to do a third. But as an instructor, as a personal trainer, I also did the boxing courses. I did boxing part 1 and part 2, which was part 2 was an advanced version of boxing for personal training. And I am very knowledgeable in different types of striking, different martial arts. And I have also been out to Thailand to do Tiger Muay Thai, which is a famous gym in the MMA world. But they also have some of the best striking coaches in the world. Currently, the coach who I worked with when I was out there, he is now the One Championships heavyweight MMA champion coach. He coaches that guy. He's actually a 2 division champion. So my pedigree is one where I can stand up and say, I'm confident, I've been there, I'm happy to teach this course because I have experience that can be passed on to others, essential experience. I'm not going to say I'm the best fighter in the world. I'm not going to say I'm the best personal trainer in the world, but I'm going to say that I'm an extremely good tutor. And that's what I think most people need to hear. I know what I'm doing, more than competent, more than experienced, and I can teach. Because when you go into a course like this, you need to be taught how to punch. You're putting yourself in a position where you can get injured now. This isn't like when you move weights and you can maybe do a few cheat reps here and there. If you do a movement pattern that isn't correct, you can break your hand. You can get punched in the face. You can get hit hard. Clients hit hard. Clients, if you do not teach them properly, will end up hurting you. So you need to make sure that the person who's teaching you the course isn't just there because they like teaching boxing or they have some concepts that they like to do. They need to be solid in what they're doing. Fortunately enough, as part of my background, I am also a Group X instructor and have taught various different Group X styles. And I have also taught boxing as well as a group element and as a business element, which means I'm uniquely placed to teach this course. I also teach the people who teach this course. So then, when you are mentoring people who then have to go and teach this course on to other people, you need to make sure that you have a good level of understanding. And let's take a look at it in a deeper point as well. When you're doing a boxing course or any kind of physical aspect course, CPD, if the person who's teaching you is a very good teacher, you have to bear in mind that you will be teaching your clients these things. So the style and way that you eventually do things is going to be closely looked at by the tutor on the day, because you then become the tutor, the teacher for your client. So it's really important to pick up on those teaching aspects very quickly when it comes to the boxing style, the combative style of training. So that's the first thing to really think about when you teach, well, when you go for your boxing courses. Who's teaching the course? What is their background? And obviously, it's a fun little sidebar there that you got to know a little bit about my background. Now, next elements, and something we see all too often done incorrectly, is the pad work side of it. Now, you think going to a boxing course that you are going to learn how to strike and do boxing and blah, blah, blah. But what is the most important element of the course? And sometimes the personal trainers, the instructors, they aren't really aware that this is the most important part. It's the pad work. Now, personally, when I've been in gyms and I've observed people doing pad work, I've seen many very good holders of pads. I've been in boxing gyms when I've seen good holders of pads, but I've also seen very bad pad holders. I've seen exceptionally bad pad holders. And whose fault is that? We could say that sometimes it's the course itself hasn't taught it very well. And there is going to be a case sometimes that the person holding the pads is not going to be very good at holding the pads. That's just going to be them. They might not be great at boxing. Not everybody can be good at everything. But as long as they're safe, as long as they're keeping their clients safe, that's all that matters. But all too often, what we see is terrible pad work. So they've taught the client how to do really good striking because they're really focused or hyper focused on them doing the correct movements. And then we see the pads held incorrectly. We see or hear big slaps where the pads are getting slapped against the fists of the client. We see PTs and clients trying to do too many complex pad movements or combinations. We see too much in the way of conditioning where the sloppiness of the client then comes in, or the sloppiness of the trainer because they're getting tired. We see all too often where people get punched in the face or body or whatever else because they didn't take care to make sure that they were doing the right thing. We also see this lack of energy, this lack of drive. I see people going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and they just have no energy about it. Look at any boxing coach. and how they do things. And you will see, and I mean proper coaches, and obviously there's videos on YouTube, there's videos online you can find that showcase really good versions of how to do things. That's the great thing about the world we live in. We can find these videos, and on our course we have a whole bunch of video concepts to allow you to see that before you even come to the course. But if you look at these guys, they are helping the client be motivated by what they're doing, how they're holding the pads, how they're moving, how they're expressing themselves, how they're coaching, how they're talking to the person throughout. If you're very monotoned, and you should know this from any type of thing you do in the gym, if you're just counting reps and being monotoned, who's going to listen to you? Who's going to be motivated to that? Nobody. So that's one of the kind of key downfalls of when we look at personal training sessions or sessions in the gym that involve boxing. We see the pad work done incorrectly. And when we see people posting that online incorrectly. Now, as just pride for us at IPT, we don't want to see that for you. We don't want to see you do it incorrectly. So our course is not going to just pacify anybody. It's a course that if you aren't very good at boxing, you're not going to pass. If you've never done boxing before, it doesn't mean that you are not going to pass the course, because the course itself is teaching you how to strike, teaching you how to hold pads, teaching you how to move. If you can do these things well on the day, you'll pass. But if you can't, if you're not good at these things, you won't pass. You'll need to come back on the course again. That's not a bad thing for everybody. Sure, it can be a bit annoying to have to come back. And sure, we have other ways of doing assessments, i.e. video assessments. But ideally, if you are fully focused on the day, if you're taking things in, if you're then teaching them on properly, you will pass the course. But to then go away and showcase bad form online, we don't want that for you. We don't want to see bad showcases of boxing skills in the gym, because you're then putting yourself and others at risk. So if we did see it, we would then contact you about it. And I think that's probably the issue with a lot of boxing that's done by personal trainers out there. Now, I'm generalizing. Obviously, there's going to be extremely good personal trainers out there who are just great at what they do. But all too often, the ones that are highlighted are the ones that do incorrect form, hold the pads too far away, make slapping noises, don't get the client to duck properly when they go to do any kind of evasion, and just don't understand the concepts of boxing and how to put together combinations. These are the fault of the instructor some of the times, but also the fault of the student. So it's a combination of blame. There's no one person at fault. And that's why we take massive responsibility at IPT, that when you do something, we want you to do it right. We want you to be doing it safe. We want you to do it with the understanding, with the ability to then explain the actual thought processes behind things. Now, to kind of help everybody understand why boxing is so great, if you've never done boxing before, it's highly cardiovascular. but you also use the majority of the muscles in the body. You can then also use it for different concepts. You can have conditioning work in there. You can use weights. You can build a whole workout plan around making somebody a better striker. You can help people achieve goals using boxing as the kind of blueprint. You could have a boxing business where it's more boot campish and you're taking a bunch of people, putting them through different workouts to do with boxing, and then having them do gym based stuff as well. And you've also got the boxing class, the group style classes, where you can do them in different manners to help people achieve some kind of goal, be it weight loss or fun or even just to make themselves look a bit leaner or even learn a little bit of how to defend themselves. At the end of the day, boxing is boxing. It is how to strike and how to defend. So we are going to be teaching people stuff that can be used in real life. Although that's not the ultimate goal of what we do, and anybody who really does want to box should go to a boxing gym. But we are going to be teaching those aspects. We have to be good teachers ourselves. We have to have good form. And then if we are doing the correct things with the pads, with the punches, we will then teach those things on. Now, like I said, our course has just got that added business factor. So we do discuss like how to create the programs to do with boxing, how to create business aspects around boxing. And that's just an extra add-on. That's not something that makes you more proficient as a boxer, but can certainly make your business more proficient in the long run. So it's a nice add-on to the day if we get time to discuss it. But it's also there in the online platform for our students to see and to then go about having fun with, looking at the videos, seeing what they can do themselves, and we are here to obviously help facilitate that in the future. Now, our boxing courses are available nationwide, but they do need to have at least 10 people on them to run. So, if you are looking to have a boxing course in your area, it's probably best to look at if you have the amount of personal trainers that are interested in doing the course itself. Now, if you want to do other types of courses, there are other ones out there. This is more for those who want to be proficient at boxing, proficient at group classes, proficient at having a business style model. This is not just an exercise course. You're not going to just be given generic plans to go follow. You're going to be given knowledge to be able to create your own versions of combinations. You're going to understand why we do things. You're going to get footwork drills. You're going to get conditioning ideas. There's more to this course than meets the eye. And to be honest, it's probably the most intense or second most intense course that we do physical wise. But there's a lot of information to learn about the course as well. So if it's something you're interested in, please do let us know. If you've done a boxing course and you just want to maybe get some pointers on boxing, then we'd love to help. That's one of the biggest things we always say in these podcasts, but it does ring true. We are here to help, so never be afraid to contact us and just ask for that help and support. If we can, we will give it to you. And also, just as a little bit of a reminder, we are still in pre-sale for our course in September. It starts on the 4th and it runs at 6 p.m. So Wednesday, 4th at 6 p.m. And that is every Wednesday for 12 weeks. It is our fast track course, and it is the one that only has 20 places. We don't want more students than that. And once those places are gone, they're gone. For the rest of this month, though, we are doing a discount on top price. So usually our course costs £1,999. But if you put a £50 deposit down, you will get £200 off the course and your £50 deposit off the course. So that takes it down to 1449. Now that gets you your diploma, that gets you all your support, and it gets you 4 additional courses, which are evergreen courses. Now the boxing course isn't one of those courses, but you can imagine if this is the kind of support we want to give you on the boxing course, on these other courses, you will be getting just the same, if not more. So, well worth the money. And really, it just helps set you up as a personal trainer. So, if you know anybody who's looking to do their personal training courses, get them to get on the pre sale before it is over. And if there's anything else you'd like help with, anything we can support with, please let us know. But until next week, we have been IPT2, and we hope that you are all good. See you next week for the last episode of this month. And it's a big one. It's all about weight loss. So till then, take care, and we'll see you soon.